Making an inmendham video, and I won't say anything about physics in this one, probably. Anyway, just trying not to do a physics video. Yeah, don't say physics. Yeah, I mean it is, it is preoccupying me. Anyway, so I just figured we'll do some regular inmendham video practicing, and we might as well use anticontavad for the purpose. On the subject of hate 3. Well, I didn't watch 1 and 2, so maybe see what we get. Pointless emotion. Clearly there's cause or reason to find something nasty and objectionable, and to vote against it. To say something like, that shouldn't exist, that sucks. You could hate an AIDS virus, hate mosquitoes, hate lots of things, but they just make problems. Fuck up the value equation. So that's sort of the irony of this guy talking about hate, because, in his construct of who cares, you're going to die anyway. It doesn't matter. Your suffering dies with you, so to speak. The circumstance of your existence dies with you. So the meaning of it, even. The fact of it. Which really doesn't make much sense. You could use lots of metaphors. It's like when you read a book, and the pages of the book, they mean something. But that gets me thinking about stories, and how your life is just stories, and you just today's stories, tomorrow's story, the next day's story. They're all just little stories, and how it'd be kind of interesting to see what we would do with our lives if we didn't do this sleeping thing, where we interrupt the story and start over again the next day. If it was more continuous, how life would develop differently. But yeah, it's all getting caught up in some little addiction that's usually related to some little ego thing, a competition, a challenge. I can sort of see an element of that in this whole physics thing. I mean, part of my energy for it is just the will to win, to prove it, to get it across the finish line, so to speak. Sometimes even in painting or something artistic, you're just doing the same thing in a way too. You're just fighting with your ability to get it to a point where you can say finished. Because it's subtly, often it's hard to get something there. There's always something that needs something. Anyway, but yeah, so our life is just these silly stories. And part of the silly story is waste, and it's disgusting and revolting. And it does something to the mind. I mean, a mind who can recognize waste, it just does something to the whole machinery of playing the game. The waste is just a real boner killer. Yeah, because it's that that squandered value, and it just so this whole death thing, the whole disease thing, all this, all the parts of our lives that seem like waste, just a waste of suffering, a waste of negativity, you want to call it that. And that is hateable. But in the process of hating it, you're sort of wasting your potential to do something better with your time than hate. So obviously hate should always come with the constructive, point a shotgun at it and shoot it. Where the anticontavads would probably say, just pretend it went away. Just imagine that it's dead, and therefore it doesn't mean anything, or something like that. I don't know. It's going to be a dead someday, so it doesn't matter, even if it gives more people AIDS. Wait, that doesn't make sense. You can't make any sense of it. It's gibberish. So anyway, not that I was trying to. So anyway, just a preamble, going into it with a good, nice, dark, oh, this is all fucktarded bullshit anyway. These assholes just keep dragging intelligence back to a dumb game. And it is a dumb, look, I'm just saying, anybody intelligent is going to see all the waste, and they're going to find it depressing and irritating, and it's just going to take all the fun out of it. I mean, realistically. I'm just saying, it's a character defect to enjoy watching the waste wagon come by and, do its damage. You have to be an idiot. Alright, so anyway, let's do this fun stuff here.
I'm dealing with the subject of hate, trying to deal with it in almost the stereotypically conventional way, dealing with, say, the Nazis.
Whatever. You're going to do that again. Oh. Y'all do it with capitalists. How's that? Yeah. Greedy scum who manipulate deprivation and desperation in people to steal their value of their labor. Ooh, evil scum. Scum.
They've come down to us as sort of legitimate objects of hate.
Yeah, well, whatever. Come down to us, right? So why don't you deal with something more modern? Crazy Muslims. Why don't you deal with them? Yeah. Crazy Muslims who will, cut your head off on the street because, they thought you made a, snide remark about their Lord and Savior.
And I'm not so sure that I disagree with that. But I still want to...
So another qualification where, well, I'm not sure you should pay any attention to what I'm saying because I'm not sure about what I think, and so, yeah. Great. These are really good related videos. Yeah, hate has something to do with, something other than hate, it seems.
Examine what that actually implies, that, say that hate can, or perhaps to ask the question rhetorically, can hate be justified?
Yeah, whatever. So what do you mean? Can the determination that somebody is unproductive in their endeavors on planet Earth be justified? Yes, of course. That's exactly what you're doing when you're making that declaration. You point out how somebody's being grotesquely unproductive in their behavior, and therefore should be neutralized out of that condition.
Or does it have uses? Does it actually have a use? Does it do something positive for us?
Like I said, the emotions really don't do anything, but the ideas behind them are often valid. Yeah, sometimes you just get lost in the emotional and it gets really petty. But that's all ego-based too, and so we're all part of, it's very hard to play the game without being influenced by your addictions. And, so yeah, it's all going to be part of it. But again, you can just go back to something simple, something that's, to most people, something that just gets to their sacred cow, so to speak. A violation of their mother or sister or something. And, all emotion seems quite valid in those circumstances. But yes, it shouldn't make a real difference. Right? A violation is a violation.
I mentioned that it can sort of, I guess, inoculate us against being duped or being taken advantage of or being ambushed. Having our rational faculties ambushed by someone who is using subtle means of persuasion, charisma.
I don't really think that has anything to do with hate, to tell you the truth. So I think you're off your own subject there, buddy. I don't think your intuition, your passion, will do you much good in these conversations about what's the right or appropriate action. It's usually just going to get in the way. So your personal emotion is usually just going to be destructive. And so once you understand what it is, that it is just a dangerous personal emotion, then you can put it in its place. You can feel it, and you just try not to let it loose. Try not to let it too loose, let's say, and let it pervert your judgment or turn you into a hypocrite.
Appeals to emotions, appeals to subconscious things, subconscious fears and desires.
When he says appeals to emotion, he means like if you have a rational thought, like an understanding, like, okay, my kid isn't fundamentally better than everybody else's kid. He would say that's what you got to avoid. Don't be fooled by that rationality thing. And start thinking rationally. So that's the irony of this. He thinks that all the selfish and nepotistic emotions are positive, and all the emotions associated with something that might inspire you to feel some twang of guilt or some twang of responsibility for the welfare of the other things on planet Earth, which you are every day influencing and which you every day do vote to cause harm to by participating actively in the system, by being one of them. If you're with them, you're not against them, kind of a thing. That's just a truth. And so we're all guilty, and that guilt, that responsibility, we're all responsible. And that sense of responsibility is what he thinks is a negative hate emotion. So that is the imbecility of this video, is that he's the propagandist manipulating you with playful little words, where if he actually defined them, you would realize that he's defending selfish and defending disregard and insensitivity and a lack of responsibility.
Sort of thing. And very cleverly mixing it in with other things to sort of, as Goebbels would have put it, make the most atrocious lie quite palatable. That, too, is sort of what has come down to us from the Nazis. An incredibly civilized people, highly cultured people, the Germans.
Well, whatever. You can say all that stuff, but I mean, to say highly cultured is to say something in sort of an wrenching kind of way. And obviously they were in a sense, behaving like the Japanese in a sense, in a sense they were just being dictated to with a simple ideology, and they just ate it, even though it was stupid. So I mean, it's hard to say highly cultured and then stupid and say, okay, yeah, I can put those two things together, because it was just pretty stupid. I mean, the silly bigotry. I mean, look, hating the bankers would have made sense, but irrationally associating the bankers with their religion was kind of silly. I mean, on its face, it was just fucking silly.
Whom you would think would be immune to this. They're also known for being very rational and not letting their emotions take control of them. Say in the same way that the Irish, my people, are known.
Oh, whatever. Bibble babble on that one. I don't think if you added it all up, you just find just as many drunks beating just as many wives. So, but whatever. Blah, blah, blah.
For their emotions running away with them. But
I don't even, why do people even really enjoy or like or appreciate or whatever this whole pigeonhole-y bullshit? I mean, every one of his videos is some stupid, idiotic nonsense about how I should somehow, because I have blonde hair, I'm a certain kind of personality, or I have blue eyes, I'm a certain kind of personality. I have a certain ethnicity, therefore I have a certain kind of... I mean, who the fuck needs this shit? I mean, shouldn't we way past doing this bullshit?
Still, the supremely rational, supremely disciplined Germans fell for this idea. So I'm thinking perhaps reason isn't enough to sort of prevent ourselves from falling into these sorts of situations where we have to face the terrible moral dilemmas inherent in what the Allied Allied soldiers saw when they liberated the concentration camps in the Second World War. You have to sort of, a paradigm shift or a paradigm reinforcement is going to take place in that kind of circumstance. You're going to have to, I think.
Oh, again, this is another, just this, he's talking about being manipulated by emotion. Look what he's doing. He's just dipping the whole thing in all this emotional sauce, where you could make the same kind of arguments. Well, what about the liberation of the prisoner of war camps in the Civil War or something? Yeah, both sides suck. I mean, it just doesn't, oh, the atrocity, oh, the horror, oh, the humanities, blah, 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 blah. I'm not saying these aren't incredibly poignant elements of that our character, we should be aware of these atrocities, the Trail of Tears and the rest of it, and have some appreciation for the horror. But again, look how he's manipulating the horror to imply that this is not something systemic in the human condition, but rather something that's caused by a particular kind of thing.
Revamp or perhaps reevaluate all of your moral and ethical thinking that you've had up to that point, where you'd assumed that such things simply couldn't happen or whatever.
Right. I'm just so he's saying that some soldier shows up after fighting in World War II and seeing all kinds of goddamn slaughter, and he's going to be somehow stunned to realize that humans can treat other humans like shit. That's going to be a he's probably, who the fuck knows? He might have left a couple of 13-year-old girls on the way pregnant. This charming fellow doing his liberating. I'm just, what's the point of this? Is he going to get to something meaningful here? Oh, no, he's not. That's right. Damn.
You might have thought that ideas of evil were kind of silly and outdated and juvenile until you.
Yeah, I think it's just absolutely grotesquely silly in the context of all of human history. Yes, I think it's just silly to be worried about this whole evil-y thing and the rest of it. We're selfish creatures, and if we can scapegoat something, we will. And that all has absolutely nothing to do with the fact that you defend torturing animals and taking risks with other human beings' lives and welfare because you think you're entitled to something. You're entitled to exercise some sort of power to fuck with the destiny of other sensitive creatures, and to do it in some overt way where you basically just say, I understand there's risk, I don't give a fuck. I don't feel anything. Their pain won't be mine. And you're not saying much more than that. So yeah, if there's evil on Earth, this is its form. The ones who deny its existence.
Well, you enter Bergen-Belsen with the British and Canadians in 1945 and see 13,000 unburied bodies laying there in front of you that died.
Well, again, then all you'd have to do to make the German argument would say, well, go back to World War I, and then go back to the people starving to death after that World War, and they're pointing their finger at somebody who was the cause of that. So I'm just saying that the hate can live in all kinds of forms, but I'm just saying, this isn't going to, you're not going to advance the argument by saying that somehow the atrocity committed against the Jews was somehow a grander or more meaningful atrocity than any other atrocity that's taken place, anywhere else. And it's not any different kind of atrocity. It's just that people have been wronged and then they find something to blame for the wrong. Not that complicated. And a lot of it is fair payback. If you get eaten by if you get stepped on by a cow, I'd say, yeah, well, you got what you deserve, fucker.
Completely unnecessarily and sadistically. You see that, then you have to you have to make some sort of assessment of it. And what does it mean in terms of your view of the world, in terms of...
Oh, fiddle faddle with this. Yeah, this isn't going anywhere. So again, all this. So he just remember back where he's talking about using this kind of emotional propaganda to and what's he doing? Is this any different than the Nazis talking about the Jews and their manipulation and their control and the they're just a blight and they're blah 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 blah? Is it any different? Just resort to some emotional argument to generate a sensation. It's just no point in it. And clearly now, I really don't think there's any point in it. I mean, it's kind of, yes, never forget, but just remember the part that matters, which is bigotry be dumb. We don't need to remember any other part. I don't think there's any other useful lesson in the whole damn thing. If you're nailing the right target, then hate is great. But if you're not hitting the right target, if you're not hitting the evil with your hate, yeah, that's not good. That's really bad. Yeah, it's not much more complicated than that. So hate them if they deserve it. Period. Good. Generate some emotion and do what you got to do, kind of a thing. But make sure you're right. You should make sure you're right before you do anything decisive on this planet. And again, that's why I find this guy so offensive. He doesn't have to know the right answers. But when it comes to procreating or manipulating other people's destinies, he doesn't have to know how to do it. He doesn't, and it's just as meaningful a jeopardy. There's just as big a concentration camp waiting for your child. It's just a real torture that you've opened the door to. So, yeah. Anyway, yeah, enough of the video. So it's sort of an inmendham video. An old, vintage inmendham. Before all this physics shit. So anyway, just a few more months and then I'll be done with that. Yeah, well, I'll be done with it because, yes, I'll be the most famous person on earth and all that. So, yeah, my channel should get a few more views by then, right? A few more anyway. Got to get me a couple more subscribers, being the most famous person on earth. Get a few more subscribers out of that. Anyway, till next time.